The Sandhya Vandanam ritual. Why perform the Sandhya ritual? What is its significance? How does one benefit from it? Who should perform this ritual? Is it a ritual religious, a prayer, or is it a science? Is there a science behind it? These could be questions of a curious mind, a skeptic, or a cynic. No matter who you are and where you are coming from in this barrage of questions, I think you deserve an explanation. I think you deserve the answers because these answers may actually change your perspective to yourself, life, and existence as a whole. Vandanam. Now, the most obvious meaning of Vandanam one would take as prayer, to pray. Whereas if you broke it down and try to understand the word Vandana or Vandanam, it means greetings, offering respects, obeisance. So it's a greeting or obeisance to Sandhya. Now, what is this Sandhya? Who is Sandhya, anyways? Well, in the Vedic traditions, all natural phenomena would be addressed through a personification. There is one such phenomenon that happens every day, every month, every year, and so on and so forth. It keeps happening, and without that one phenomenon, everything else would cease to exist. Sandhi in Sanskrit means a liaison, a joint, the link. If you join two words, it will be Sandhi. If you separate two words, it will become Sandhi Vichchedaha. So that's Sandhi. Sandhya is the time or the moment or duration when two stages meet. End of one and the beginning of the other is linked through Sandhya Kala. Kala here means time, the potent state of the new beginning, the state of pure potential is how one must understand Sandhya. What is the significance of Sandhya? As per Vedic science, the act of creating the universe, the one we know of, the one we live in, the one we think we are a part of, became possible only because of the labors and penance of Sandhya, the personified daughter of Brahma, the creator. The word personified is of utmost significance here. Personification of anything helps in cognition, recognition, learning, remembering, or recalling. It is the most efficient learning method or technology. When I say molecule or I say an atom, you think you know molecules, you think you know atoms, but all you have is a notion of an atom or a molecule. These are names given to certain scientific findings because you think you know molecule and atoms. And they are not personified as beings or human beings. We call it scientific. Now, what if I call an atom something else? Something else which is personified denotes an atom. Usually, it is found that such personification makes it very, very easy for you to relate with it. A. Remember it. B. And have a relationship with it. It's like if you didn't have a relationship with this universe and its phenomenon, then this entire impersonal way of looking at things is actually making a human being poorer emotionally, spiritually, health wise, etc. etc. It's like what do you get from food? Yeah, what do you get from food is nutrition and calories. Oh my goodness. Is that it? Just nutrition and calories? Um, you have the big three, and then you have the micronutrients, and we have actually come to a point in our scientific approach that we think if we reduced everything down to the elements and fed ourselves, we would be healthy. Unfortunately, it is not true. No matter how much of vitamin C you might pump into your body, it will not be able to replace your experience of an orange or a lemon or a chili, because not just that they contain vitamin C, they also have other, for lack of words, nutrients or micronutrients which vitamin C tablet cannot give you. You know, it's like lactobacilli, common medicine given when you are having an antibiotic. It's not a medicine, it's a supplement. Now, this lactobacilli is nothing but healthy bacteria which helps you to digest your food. But is eating lactobacilli tablet the same as eating curd or yogurt or even some forms of cheese? The answer is no, they're not. Now, this, let us say, this was recognized by the wise ones of the Vedic times. And they realized that unless human beings relate with the universe and the phenomenon of the universe, they do not get multifold benefits. They will still benefit. You still live. You still survive. You will not die till the universe decides that it is your time. But will you live a rich life that you are meant to? I have tried and tested this many, many times in my classrooms, this personification business. You ask anybody, any of the participants, something they never learned in school or college. You know, something from the, for lack of a word again, mythological stories. Most of them have a very, very clear recall, vivid memory, as if they were there, and they never forget. These were not things that you mugged up or even revised even once. So, how come you remember so much from these stories? Because that's the technology of the future. That was the technology of the past, and that is the technology of the future. Personification, so that you can form a relationship with what you are learning. It is the most efficient learning method. It's a technology. But the risk is that if you forget the very purpose of personification, if you forget that what you know is nothing but a personified form of a phenomena, the vast wisdom, scientific knowledge may be reduced to mere mythology, superstition, or isms. That's the problem. So Sandhya here is a personified daughter of Brahma the creator. Without Sandhya and her labor, Kala or time would not have been possible. There would be no time. Everything was still. Nothing changed. Nothing ever changed. For time to exist, there must be change. If nothing changed from now for another half an hour, you wouldn't know that half an hour has passed. So change and time are part of the same coin. So for time to exist, there must be change. The process of creation, sustenance, and annihilation is what makes this universe. It gets created, something gets created, sustained, and then it dies. Now, philosophically, it got created because it had the quality to die. So, creation and destruction qualities were born at the same time. In the broad context or in the broad environment or of sustenance. So, as per the Vedic science, when the Lord Paramatma Parabrahma, wished to create, dreamt of a universe. He first created the ecosystem, the environment of sustenance. So Vishnu Bhagavan, Narayana, got formed or took form from his Vamabhaga, left side. From his side, now sustenance as an ecosystem was already existing. We will probably discuss ecosystem in a different context, in a different time. It's the most significant phrase in the scientific society. It is your tool to create, bring about any change whatsoever. So the sustenance ecosystem was first created, which made creation possible. The creator, Brahma, came from the right side of the Paramatma, Parabrahma, to create the universe. At the middle, in his heart, he is still performing the act of destruction, or the act of, we don't call it destruction here, it is a return path, meaning that all must return to the source. That's the connection here. So Rudra is at the heart of the Paramatma. Maybe we are kind of digressing from the main course of the topic, so let's get back there. The process of creation, sustenance and annihilation is what makes the universe, and is possible only because of this time change phenomena. The universe is not a thing at all. It is not a thing. We see things in the universe, but the universe is not a thing. It is not a thing. It is a happening phenomenon, an ongoing phenomenon that may appear gross or subtle based on the state of the observer. Now here observer could be you, observer could be the person who passed on this wisdom to you, etc., etc., etc. It is totally dependent on the observer's state, whether this phenomenon of called universe occurs to you or him as gross or subtle. Change and time are two sides of the same coin. If nothing changed, there would be no time. And if there were no time, nothing would change. So they are hand in glove, inseparable. Shiva Puran, Purvardra, presents this through a conversation, this entire knowledge of Sandhya, or rather the story of Sandhya is narrated through a conversation between Brahma and his son Rishi Narada. Now we are not going into the full story of Sandhya here, because the nature of content is quite sensitive, not for everyone. I would probably, if there be demand, create a paid video for this. Okay? When I first read the Devi Puran, I'm currently reading the Shiva Puran, one thing that really struck me, or rather caught my attention, was the insistence that the Devi Puran or the Shiva Puran is not given to or narrated to someone who is not qualified, someone who doesn't deserve it. I mean, the secrets of the Vedic wisdom was kept through this very process of qualifying the listener. What it actually means is that if the truth is told to somebody who has no capacity to understand, it might harm him. It might cause harm to him, it might cause harm to the collection of knowledge, it might harm people at large. So don't tell people something that they're not ready for. Okay, so it's not like a secret which is buried somewhere, but it's a secret because it takes effort, pre-qualification to read, study, understand, meditate, and then infer what is being said there. Okay, so, and I'm now beginning, as I'm sharing my thoughts, my insights about Vedic knowledge with others, I am now beginning to appreciate the truth, the reasons that might have been behind such conditions. So the full story will be a paid video on demand. So in this conversation, Brahma is telling Narada the entire story of how Sandhya came about. Sandhya was his Manasa Putri. I mean, Lord Brahma, the creator, at epitome of creation or creativity. All he has to do is think. All he has to do is feel. From his thoughts, his feelings, his breath, a creation of a being would happen. So one such creation was Sandhya. And it is her contribution that we offer our reverences to thrice a day or 4 times a day. So fourth time is usually for the sadhak or the people who are in any form of serious practice of sadhana for siddhi. Now what are these? So what is sadhana? Sadhana simply means practice. You practice something in a disciplined manner. Now what is this discipline? A particular prescribed method of practicing anything. Sadhana. Now the person who practices or does a sadhana is called a sadhak, practitioner. So when you practice something, a sadhana, as a practitioner, a sadhak, you will develop siddhi. Siddhi means expertise. So when you write, you become an expert writer. You develop your own style and you keep writing and you can write effortlessly as compared to most other people. When you read, as you practice reading, you become an expert reader. So it's a siddhi. So the fourth Sandhya Kal is usually for the sadhak. Time, the Sandhya between Usha Kal and Brahma Muhurata or whatever else it is. The details we will not cover here. But the Trikala Sandhya is our offering. Reverences, paying obeisance, our respects to this phenomenon. So what are Sandhya's contributions? But for Sandhya, the universe did not have 4 stages to life of any being. Any creature that you have ever noticed, known or can know has 4 stages. There is an infancy, Balavastha. There is childhood, Kumaravastha. There is youth, Yauvan. And there is old age, Vriddhavastha. Now it's beautiful because each of the 4 states is a completely different experience of life and existence. For every creature, you take a pup, it has the 4 stages. You take a flower, a plant, it has the 4 stages. You take a human being, and each of the 4 is a beautiful experience, a beautiful expression of all the possibilities of the world, of life, of existence. Sandhya prayed to Lord Shiva to make this happen. In those days, early days of creation, there was no such thing. There were no 4 stages. Because everybody was a Brahma's Manasa Putra or Putri. So Brahma would dream of, think of, feel like, or breathe out, or perspire. Yeah. So one perspiration from Brahma's body would be a new creation, a new being, but a full-blown being with no stages. You are born in your, whatever you want to call it, there is no stage. It's not even adulthood. It is full-blown version of you. So there are no 4 stages. So we owe our respects, our reverence to Sandhya, that we as human beings get to experience life in 4 different ways. Each one valuable, beautiful for itself. Now it doesn't stop here. Her contributions only start. This is only one of its form. The 4 seasons and their transition. Summer, winter, autumn, spring, monsoon, whatever it is. It's caused by the same process. Now I don't want to go into the details of what would happen if there were no seasons. Go to the North Pole, or maybe not, I don't know, because I have never been there. So maybe even in the North Pole you have 4 seasons. But if you didn't have, then what would happen? Life, the way we know it, probably won't be possible. Lovely fruits and vegetables that I get to eat, I won't get. The grains that I get to eat, I won't get. The flowers I get to see, I won't get. It's all about seasons. Coming closer to existence, the four stages of the sun each day. That's where it all starts, by the way. If the sun did not have four stages in a day, you know, dawn, early morning, afternoon, evening, night, four stages. The four stages of the sun. So what will happen if sun never went down? Yeah, the sun that never goes down. It is always in full fury. What would happen? Nothing would happen. Everything would be standstill. The cycle of the sun during one day is what makes the life in this universe click. There would be no life if that did not happen. The sun cycle, each roughly 21 years long. Now, the four stages of human life and the sun cycle is also of great significance. Life in lower realms of existence happened because Sandhya toiled for it. Now, lower realms we will have to qualify. Lower, not lesser. Okay, lesser, not lower. We'll come to that. I mean, it's not like one is greater than the other, but only that one is more limited than the other. So, lower because of limited perception, limited faculties, etc. etc. Okay? So, we'll probably justify that or explain it a bit more. But life in lower realms of existence. Sandhya, after she was given the boon that okay, so be it, four stages of life, four stages of the sun, four stages of evolution. In her next birth, she as Arundhati gave birth to the Pitrus. Now this is Pitru Pakshi happening, and Pitru does not only mean ancestry. It does not mean only my parents, my paternal primarily and then maternal. And if you perform the Vedic ritual of Tarpanam during this time, you may have come across, the number of Pitrus that you offer, food and etc., other stuff. Now, Pitra, in another way to understand, are chromosomes. Chromosomes of beings that would follow the Sandhya cycle. The four stages and the connection, the link between them, actually making them into 8 stages of a day, of a person's existence. So everything, what do you call a parabolic curve, everything climbs up, peaks, and then has a fall. It's not happening all of a sudden. It's happening with grace. It's happening in a flow. It's happening in such a way that the whole thing appears seamless. It doesn't shock me or you, at least not consciously, so we're not even aware most of the times of the changing phenomenon called life. Now, this is how life as we know began. All species of creatures or life forms that ever existed or will exist belong to the lineage, Vansha, of one of the Pitrus. So evolution of life, evolution of beings. Now here it also includes, it is not about life on earth alone. It is not. It is anything that has a form in this universe, including the planets, the stars, the moons, etc., etc., etc. All of that is included here. I mean the Navagrahas, the 9 planets in Vedic astronomy and astrology. Out of these 7 are planets, 8 and 9 are the nodes. Each one had a Pitra. Now you know your Pitra, if you are of the Vedic traditions, you would know your Pitra because you would know your Gotra. So that's if you ask somebody what is the name of your grandfather, they might know. Great grandfather, a few more might know. Great grandfather, you lost many. Great grandfather, so even 6 generations before you may not know their names. But most of us have been taught our Gotra. Whether you perform some puja somewhere, some yajna somewhere, or whatever, or you witness somebody else doing it, but most people of the Vedic traditions would be aware of their Gotra. What is this Gotra? It is your lineage, your original Pitra chromosomes. So Shani Bhagavan, or one of the 7 planets, Shanidev, also has a Gotra. Now this is an interesting story because when the Devas were being fed the Amrit that was derived from the Samudra Mantra, disguised as one of them, Rahu also sat there and he also got to drink the Amrit. But soon enough, the Indra and Indra is the king of the heaven. Indra and his followers, they realized or they recognized that this is an Asura, a Rakshasa, and they immediately accosted him and beheaded him. Now they could behead him, but they could not kill him because he had already had Amrit. So the head remained, the body died, or the body remained, head died, and took a rebirth. So it is never Rahu Ketu, but Rahu and Ketu, because Rahu remained Rahu, the head. Ketu was reborn in a different Gotra, because you cannot be born in the same Gotra anyway. So he was born in a different Gotra. So you have 2 entities and not one. Oh my God, this is all getting too religious. No, this is not religion. This is science. We'll go through the Navagraha and the Nakshatra in a different video, in a different presentation. But for now, just imagine that everything that forms this universe came from this very phenomenon, the cycle of life. It came from one of the pitras or the chromosomes, original, that Arundhati gave birth to. So all Vanshas, whether it is the planets, the moon, the sun, including the sun by the way, everything follows the same dharma of the Sanatan. So Sanatan Dharma is not Hinduism, it is following the dharma of the Sanatan. Every creature owes its existence to the above phenomenon. Whether it is a goat or a lizard, they exist because they are meant to. Sandhya made sure that they will exist. Sandhya made sure that they will also be born in one of the lineages that she, as Arundhati, gave birth to. However, these creatures of different pitras do not have the intelligence or the awareness or the faculties to recognize it. It is only the human beings that have the intelligence, intelligence, to recognize and appreciate it. However, it is not natural for human beings. It's not like you are a human being, so yes, you have the faculty, yes, you have the intelligence, but that's not how you were born, okay? So it's not natural, you don't have to, it's not a must. But it is an opportunity available, it's a faculty that already is there in you, which would be unused if you went away like this, without using it. It's like having $1 million in your bank account, not even knowing it, and never using it in your life, and exiting. Would that be stupid? Oh yes, you're sure it would be stupid. It would be as stupid if you did recognize certain faculties you have just by being born as a human being. But you won't know because you'll have to be told, you'll have to be trained. Veda says, Shastra says, Purana says that all human beings are born as animals, Pashu. But we are born with the intelligence to evolve. What is the quality of a Pashu? It can feed itself. It does not brush its teeth. It does not take bath. It procreates, meaning creates new babies. It eats, sustains, creates new babies, and it dies. It shits where it sits and sits where it has shit. It will urinate wherever it is standing, and it will stand wherever it has urinated. It has no distinction of bad or wrong. None of that. Human beings are born like that. Look at a baby. You know what I'm talking about. The baby will pee and keep lying in that pee. It will shit and roll in that shit. It knows how to feed itself. So, Kwah! I'm hungry. If left exactly like that, it would still grow into a man or a woman. It would still find a mate and procreate. That won't stop. But the rest of it that you associate or we associate with human lives is part of evolving of this intelligence that we are born with. Through Purusharth, okay, we will not complicate the matters. Through mental labor, human beings can, Purusharth has nothing to do with male. Maybe malevolence, if there's a word like that. Okay, we'll go through Purusharth in a different context. Not now, in a different video. So through mental labor, human beings can evolve to higher states of consciousness, where your faculties have evolved, your faculties are woken up, and you are living life with a different perspective, with a different sense perception. Whatever your perspective is, whatever your sense perception tells you, is the experience of your life. Our family traditions, culture, education, behavioral and other attitudinal manners that is taught to you, personal persona changes, they all contribute to our mental and spiritual growth. That is higher state of consciousness. With this higher state of consciousness is not, you sit in meditation and then you will reach higher states of awareness or consciousness. In fact, reading, studying is also another form of meditation. And I'm sure most of us have experienced it because we would get engrossed in a book. We would get engrossed while we were giving our tests in school or college. So we were getting engrossed in something, an act, an activity, forgetting ourselves. That's meditation. And if there is an example or an experience of nirvikalpa, it could be that I forget that I am. Higher states of awareness, higher states of existence, with an evolved connection with the universe. Now, all these are possibilities, okay? It's not like, okay, I've done my college, I've done my degree courses, I am already evolved. No. You are evolved to a particular higher state of existence or consciousness that you did not qualify for or were not living in till you put your labor into this. So, if you are running, even if you are running out of fear, you did develop certain types of intelligence. I mean, if you imagine a criminal has developed intelligence. Many of them, I suspect, have evolved in certain ways higher than I have. Okay, so they seem to understand the society and government and economics and industry better than I do. Okay, in many ways. So it's your labor, Purushartha, that enables you to evolve to a higher state of consciousness, higher state of awareness, higher state of existence. Now the higher than that, so what is this Sandhya Upasana, Sandhya Vandanam? It provides you an opportunity to connect with that ultimate phenomenon that started this entire drama of life, with an evolved connection with the universe. That's the significance. Okay, let's look at it this way. What is this higher state of consciousness all about? If you, and you probably understand this today more than ever before because of Corona lockdown. So you're sitting in a room looking at your computer or your mobile phone screen for the past 3-4 hours. Okay? And you have moved to a different, I'm not saying lower, I'm not saying smaller, constricted. I'm not using any of these negative adjectives, negative words. In a different state. Somebody who's addicted to video games. Okay. Now they shut it off. You had a power cut or somebody threw you out of the house, asked you to take a walk, do anything you want, but don't stay home. Don't do this. Okay. So you were forced, compelled, or maybe you ran out of groceries, you're living alone. You had to go out. There was a compulsion. You went out, cursing your life to begin with, but then as you were moving, as you became aware of your environment, as you saw other things that attracted you, Your experience of existence, your experience of life changed. You felt good. You see the sky, we all love to go to the beach or the hills. Why? Because that expanse of landscape opens up your mind. It opens up your peripheral vision and takes you to a higher state of awareness, a higher state of connectedness. Now, this experience, you can have experience of connectedness, you can have thrice a day. That is what is in offer.